Morning, mic check, mic check. Mic check, Faith-Based Friday. We here. Faith-Based Friday. We here. Give me a second. Let me just share this out real quick on Facebook, and then we'll get the party started, folks. We here. Mic check, mic check, mic check. All right. Facebook, what's up? Facebook, what's up? Sorry. And we just get it loaded up on YouTube, and then we gonna make it move. Make it move. Mic check. Come on. Let's go. We got time for this, baby. What is the problem? All right, we should be good to go. All right, here we go. Right into it. Good. Let me put myself on the stage. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on the time of day you're consuming this. Welcome back to the Move Swiftly platform. Let me just introduce myself real quick as we get things up and running. All right, first and foremost, let me just introduce myself. My name, Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time published author and educator. And I created this whole brand, this whole business, this whole concept that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and business owners so they have a staff, group of employees, and an organization that moves as efficiently and as eagerly, as passionately as a championship high school or youth football team. That's what we do around here, over here in the Move Swiftly world. If you are interested in that, let me just get the link up on the screen for you guys. If you're interested in that, just head over to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaMove.com. You can shop. You can get the free guide. I have a free guide for all you business owners out there. You can book me to speak, and you can do your research on me as a person that comes into organizations and teaches your staff how to be entrepreneurs, teaches your staff how to, apply the things and make it so they're being extremely productive. We work into, and basically the main curriculum, let's say the curriculum, but the main problem, what do we call this? The struggle of this morning. You can tell I need some coffee. Let me hold up. Equation. You know what's crazy? One sip of coffee makes it so I'm reminded of what I say every single morning. Yeah, the main equation. It's sad. I got to do something to cope with this caffeine. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So the main equation that we work from is to establish measurables for each staff member. You need to establish measurables. You need to create a professional distance, and then that'll create the productive environment. Listen, guys, I say that literally every single day, and just need a sip of coffee to get myself together. And to be honest with you, this is all week has been kind of a crazy week because I've been starting the live streams a little earlier because I do teach at a school, and we're at the end of another school year. All sorts of things are going on. So again, I will get back. We will get back. So again, makeyourmove.com for all the information in terms of having me come out and speak. And if you want to learn more about employee development workshops and things like that. So one of the facets and one of the things that we do here is something called Faith-Based Friday. Now, I'm a member at a place called Life Church out here in West Palm Beach, but we're switching it up. I switched it up I've switched it up the past couple of weeks because my girl goes to Church by the Glades, and I've gone to church with her for the past 2 weeks. And, this past Sunday was Father's Day. So we went to Church by the Glades, and even though sometimes I'll go to Church by the Glades on Faith-Based Fridays, I'll still review the sermon that Life Church gave and all that kind of stuff. But this one, let me just tell you, this sermon by Pastor Scott Williams from Church by the Glades was so damn good that I had to share it out. I had to share the message. It's called Thermostat Dad. And I'm just going to tell you now before I let them cook is there's a difference between the thermometer and the thermostat. The thermostat, the person that sets the temperature. The thermometer is just kind of adjusting to whatever the temperature is in the room at the moment. And he was speaking on becoming a thermostat like a leader. He's using the term dad, but the truth is it was all about leadership. It was all about how do you make sure you're setting the temperature in whatever room you walk into, and you're all about leadership. It was a very, very inspiring message. So I'm gonna let him cook, and we'll kind of break it down as he goes. Let me see what's going on with this Wi-Fi. Come on, Wi-Fi, come on back with me. I know we're a little off this morning, but we're gonna figure it out. So let me let it play, and then we'll go from there. Come on, if you know that God is good all the time, let me hear you make some noise. Come on, just a few times today. If you know that God is good all the time, let me hear you make some noise. I'm like a rock star coming out to some fire, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. This church is crazy, like in a good way. You guys that are visiting with your fathers or visiting with their kids. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here today. So, hey, for those of you guys that are new, my name is Scott Williams. I'm like the guest that's not a guest. I love sharing here. I love preaching here. You know, that are clapping. They call me like Uncle Scott. But in 313 days, you have to call me Dr. Scott because not going to front counting down the graduation, but I am. Thank God. Soon. I want to welcome everybody join us all around the world online. So glad you guys are here with us today. It's Father's Day. I want to say a shout out to the fathers. The fathers, a hand clap. You got a chance to tell Pastor David, happy Father's Day. You guys are blessed with an amazing pastor. You can tell a lot about dads. Just look at their kids. You got some amazing kids. They're going to do amazing things. Two of them are amazing preachers. Matter of fact, two of them are preaching today at First Baptist Fort Lauderdale. You guys are blessed with a great leader, a great man of God. Just your hand claps to your pastor for all that he does. And I just had a little energy drink before I came out. And not that I need one, but I'm just going to warn you guys in advance. And so I love that I get a chance to share on Father's Day. And Father's Day is different, right? Father's Day is different than Mother's Day. And if you go to church, me, I've been going to church for a long time. Like the Mother's Day services are good. We had Mother's Day not long ago. Mother's Day, oh my gosh, moms, we love you. Like we got rose for you. We have a specially curated, photo op in the lobby with gluten-free cupcakes, and we have some lavender scented wines, and we have a special cover song for you because you're the backbone of our home, and we love you. And dads, it's like that. I mean, Mother's Day is like a celebration. Dads, and Father's Day is like a confrontation. You need to get your life together. You need to quit watching so much ESPN. You need to quit living your fantasies. All right, pause real quick, because this was actually the thing that made me want to review this and made me want to put this out there even more. As I've expressed on multiple Faith-Based Fridays, when it comes to me going to church and the relationship that I have with the church, it's a very, very it has been a strenuous one. It's been one that has been difficult to say the least because I'm so used to being judged and so used to, religion and, this is how it has to be. And this, this person is not of God, yada, yada, yada. So when I see a pastor, giving a heck of a sermon with glasses on and with his hat on and jeans and just regular clothes, there was something that was incredibly, incredibly gratifying for me to see. All right. And especially he's talking about being a dad and all these kinds of things, something that I personally aspire to be. I do aspire to be a father one day. And it's important that we don't judge people. It's important that we really understand that being of God is about, first of all, what's on a person's heart, what a person wants to be about, and what a person wants to be. That's very productive. So I want to make sure I said that, because that was something that really touched my heart.
Football, you can put your kids first, your family first, and then on Father's Day, what you do is you show up on Father's Day.
All right, we'll let it go, Kurt. Here we go.
It doesn't blame the fathers, but what it does is it puts the mantle on him. It doesn't point to his past, but it points to his position. And God is not calling him out, God is calling him up. And so that's exactly
another thing. You see what he just said? Do you see what he just said? God is not calling him out, he's calling him up. So next week, and this has happened on multiple occasions. This is the second time that it's happened in which something got said at Church by the Glades, and that turned into a whole week's worth of material for content in terms of what it is I talk about. A couple, it was last week, where they said something about consistency and continuity, and that turned into a whole week's long of me putting out material that's all about being consistent. And what he just said in terms of, instead of being looked at like you're being called out, you're being called up. I already wrote the articles. Everything is already finished and ready for next week. That's what we're going to be discussing next week. Pay attention, folks. Have your ears. You got to make sure that you're aligning with the things that you want your brand to represent. You want your company to represent. You want your, whatever it is you're about, you want it to represent a certain theme, a certain feeling. You want it to give off a certain feeling. These are the things you have got to plug in, and always be ready. Always be ready. Always be ready to take some notes, to mental notes, do something to make it so you're a brand, or you're able to incorporate some of the things that you pick up from others. That's a very key thing. So
it's important to understand, that's what he's doing. He's not just calling you out, fellas. He's not calling me out. He's calling us up. And that's what the challenge of what he wants us to do as fathers. And I think that's really, really important. And so he's calling us up to set a standard. And so it reminds me of this thing here, right?
Yeah.
I know what this is. It's a thermostat. And so, but what I want to do is I want to draw the distinction, the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer, what it does is it reflects the room. In other words, it tells you what the temperature of the room is. But what a thermostat does is it redirects the room, and it tells you what the temperature is going to be. So when we talk about what your role is as a dad, as a father, as a mom, as a parent, you're supposed to redirect the room. You don't just respond to the temperature, you get a chance to set the temperature.
Come on.
And so you got to make sure you're living your life to where you're saying, you know what, I'm a thermostat and I'm not just a thermometer.
Yeah.
Because many of you run around here, you're acting like you want to try to claim that you're a thermostat, but you're really living as a thermometer. You're responding to what the room is. You're responding and doing what your friends are doing. You're responding and doing what the world is doing on social media. So you're just a thermometer, but you need to be a thermostat. And what a thermostat does is it sets the stage. It sets the temperature of the room. And so what Paul is telling us in his instruction, he's giving us as dads, is that we're supposed to be a thermostat. Because what you got to understand is thermostats are important. As a matter of fact, the title of today's message is Thermostat Dad.
Thermostat Dad. So I want to make sure I get to certain parts too, because it was such a great sermon. So it says Thermostat Dad, but I would want to translate it and expand upon that and say just thermostat leader, thermostat business owner, thermostat, anybody that is in the business of making sure you are setting the tone in your room, setting the tone on the field, setting the tone in your league, because people are following you. When you set the tone day in and day out, you've got to make sure you're holding yourself to a certain standard. You got to walk in. I mean, I'll never forget. There was, let me see if I can Find him, see what he's up to these days. We had when I was yes, this is him, my dog, Coach Kevin Ramsey. Where is he coaching these days? Okay. See, he probably retired. He probably retired. Yeah, it looks like he retired back in 2020. So I played at Carson Newman right here this year in 2000. I got there in 2007. So it would look like it was his last year. And he actually stayed in the dorm. He stayed in the dorm. Oh, man, Coach Ramsey. Yeah, Coach Kevin Ramsey, man. So he every day practicing. I was a freshman when I was at Carson Newman College, and he was there, and he'd come into these meetings being the thermostat. Okay, guys, let's go, and put everything on the board, like really setting the tone to where we as players now, we're kind of leisurely having fun, or we're leisurely talking amongst ourselves, and he'd come in and set the tone. This is what we got to do. This is what we're hoping to accomplish. This is what we're about. These are the things that you have to do as a leader. Set the tone, incorporate. And then when you set that tone, you're able to maintain a standard. And there's players, or there's students, or there's people, there's children now who know, hey, soon as this one comes in, we got to shape up. We got to get ourselves together. And then it becomes second nature. It starts becoming second nature when you set the tone and you know there's a certain way of doing things. So the cool part about what he did is this is what made in my opinion, let me do it right here. I'm gonna skim through it. But what made the sermon so special was the way he pulled from the younger generations, the way he sort of said, he translated the message in a way that young people can understand. And this is what I mean. This is why the sermon was so special, in my opinion, is because you have a guy up there, a baseball cap and glasses, jeans, and sneakers, just looking like a guy just hanging out or whatever it is. And he was able to incorporate God's word so it touches everybody. So he translated the message. He translated the message. Matter of fact, let me move it back a little bit. He translated the message to the way a young person would understand it. So I'll let it.
What's called MIA. Everybody say MIA. And MIA is a missing in action. It's actually a military term, and again, they were in the. And there's something I came up with that I call it MI. Everybody say MI. And this is missing in action. They never showed up for the fight, or they're present, but passive. They're missing by choice. And some of you guys, this may be uncomfortable right now. It's okay. And some of you kids, you're not here. It's okay. This is a conversation we had after this message today. But more importantly, it's a great opportunity for you to be able to step up. Either way, the Father's presence or involvement is critical. And again, now that I'm a scholar, so I'm giving you some statistics that are real. This is real research. This is real research about me, Dr. Scott, 313 days. But anyway. These are according to national studies, associations, Census Bureau, and all that. In the U.S., 1 in 4 homes are with an absent father. In other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, you. 1, 2, 3, 4, you. With an absent father, that's statistic in the U.S. That's according to 2024 data. Fatherless homes are 4 times more likely to live in poverty. They're more likely to show behavioral disorders, aggression, and defiance, at a greater risk of depression, anxiety, and suicide, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, 2 times more likely to drop out of high school and repeat a grade, less likely to attend or graduate from college, and more likely to end up with criminal behavior. I've seen this firsthand. Some of you guys know my story. I was a prison warden. At the age of 25, I was one of the youngest prison wardens in the country, and I saw that. And here's the stats about being in the system. As a prison warden, I saw 85% of youth in the juvenile detention center came from father-absent homes. 76% of young adults in prison were raised without a dad. In summary, having a father is going to result in making sure that you have poverty, prison, pregnancy, and pain. It's not going to make sure, but it's a likelihood. And again, this isn't a coincidence. It's a crisis. And it's important. We look at many of the ills that I just read about in our society. We want to try to find every other reason why they don't work. So because the Republicans did this, the Democrats did that, the Christians did that, they didn't do this. And we would just get back to what Paul is saying as the standard, just say, Father, we need you to show up. And we need you to lead. And I know that's a lot to hear. And some of you guys, listen, I'm letting you know, like, I'm not speaking at you.
This is
I'm
it.
speaking with you.
Right.
Because that's my story. I grew up in a single parent family. I'm going to let you know, just because you grew up in a single parent family isn't an excuse or a reason for you to be a statistic. That's not still more a reason for you to be an amazing guy. And then you have just like you have a choice.
Watch there.
You always have to. When did you start following God? My oldest son Wes was born. He's 26 years old. I've been running after Jesus since then. Because I want to make sure that I was being a thermostat dad. That's what I had to do. I had to do it discipline of the Lord, right? I had to do that thing. So for 26 years, I've been doing my best. And so I'm here. Let's real God and look at verse 4. We're just going to break down verse 4, just one verse. Everybody say one verse. So let's go ahead and read. Here's what the text says. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. One verse. And young people, you're here, you're online, you're watching, like, sometimes you read the text, like, how does it speak to you? It makes sense, you don't know how to speak to you. I think I would break it down in the Gen Z, Gen Alpha version that would speak to you. I made this up, so I hope it works. Here's what it says. Yo, dad, low keys, don't be wild and provoking your kids 24/7. High keys, you're not always gaslighting, yelling, or acting triggered. Their vibe is going to be off. That's not a flex. That's just doing too much. Lock in. Everybody say what? No. Bring them up with real discipline, structure, love, and God's word. When you lead like that, it hits different. That's real risk. That's goat dad energy. Some of my more vintage folks like, what did you just say? Vintage, you know, that's the politically correct term for old. So we gonna look at I'm glad it was good because I really worked on it.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, I let my son read like, yeah, the high key, low key, we don't really use that too much anymore.
Yeah, and this is what I mean when I say it's important to not act like you're better than folks. All right. Yes, you have to establish a leadership role. You have to be the one who is setting the tone and being the thermostat, but also you got to mix ways in which you can listen to younger folks. All right. So when he mentions, hey, his son helped him out with that message and how much that message actually hit in terms of, all right, I'm going to be able to translate this thing that seems kind of outdated or seems a little old. I'm going to translate that to folks who can understand it. That message resonates with young people. And what we want is we want young people to develop a walk of faith. We want young people to develop a walk with Christ. See, one of the things that I really do love, whether it's this church or even Life Church, kind of the churches that I've been going to, is you go in there and it seems like you're in a concert. It seems like it's like so much fun. It's all this music. It's so much talent and such people coming together, and it's coming together for the right reasons. You're not there cussing and making a fool of yourself or doing anything derogatory. It's how you bring people into church. It's almost like Vue Church in Miami is another one that has that same feeling. And I love that energy. It's so important that we establish that. So I'll let him keep cooking and then we'll
Anyway, back to the message. Okay, 3 ways the thermostat sets the temperature. Point 1, if you're taking notes, is this. Thermostat dads regulate. Everybody say regulate. I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna let y'all in on what my mind be thinking. And sometimes, like, you think always a text, like, I heard regulate, in my mind I heard regulate. Anyway, but like, I'm sorry. That's fine. I don't even know what it means. Let's go back. Here's what the text says. There's no consistency.
Right.
There's no rhyme or reason. There's no what the word of God says. You just gonna go in there, you're gonna do it, you're gonna provoke, that's what you're gonna do. And so again, by the thermostat, what they do is they regulate. You get to go in and you balance the tension of what temperature, what degrees you need to be at. As a matter of fact, this is a whole nother sermon I could preach on here, like what temperature should it be set at? And since it's Father's Day, I'm going to go ahead and say, because it's a spiritual thing, I'm going to take right now. According to the Bible, according to this text, at least this, I'm seeing it translate in real life. College football, in middle school, words you got to grow. Like, again, you got to make sure that you're sowing.
So it's regulate and then cultivate.
Take notes. Here's this. Is as cultivate. It says, but bring them up. In other words, you got to grow. Like, again, you got to make sure that you're sowing consistent seeds. You got to cultivate. You got to till the soil. You got to plant the seeds. You got to put the fertilizer on. Like, you have to make sure that you're reading the things that's going on. Like, what is going on? Like, how am I going to respond to this? What am I going to do? So you don't just go in and read the climate. You set the climate. I know this is what temperature I need. I know I need to make sure I'm tilling the soil. Am I planting? What seeds am I planting? What seeds have you planted with your kids? Have I asked them? What fertilizer are you putting down? Do you look at other people's homes and other dads and you're like, man, the grass is greener over there. They sure seem to figure it out. Guess what? If you're always saying the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, maybe it's time to water your own grass. Maybe it's time to fertilize your grass. Maybe it's time to invest in, to cultivate, to sow into your kids, to sow into your wife, to sow into your family. And moms, you gotta let them. Yeah. I mean, some of you guys, maybe the dad was absent. But I know you don't want to. It may be an opportunity to reach out and see if they will step up. You know, that's a whole other story, but don't just bark just because you're mad. The statistics showing you what can happen to your kid as a result of it. Allow them to know, like, what are you doing to cultivate? Because cultivating is important. You get a chance to go and say, I'm going to make sure I'm going to do the reins. Like, it's important to cultivate. You're cultivating those relationships. You're cultivating those opportunities because that's what they want. You know, my friend Brandon Lake just released a powerful new album called King of Hearts.
Regulate, cultivate, and I want to make sure we get all three in for
one song has been on repeat.
And
I feel like
elevate. It's cultivate, regulate, and elevate.
You're taking notes.
I mean, regulate, cultivate, elevate.
Elevate. Everybody say elevate. Elevate. Last part of the verse. In the discipline, this is when the band will come play behind me to make me sound spiritual as I close. Let's go back to point 3. The Lord said, thermostat dads do what? In the discipline and instruction of the Lord. So thermostat dads, they put God first. He understands, like, his family. Dad understands our families are primary ministry. It's not all the other stuff. And we lead in a way that balances the grace and understand, like, what God has called us to do. That's important.
All right, so well, again, as I tell you every single Faith-Based Friday, I strongly recommend that you go and find the 30 minutes in your day or at some point to go watch the full sermon throughout. I'm just here to give you little clips of it and certain things that incorporate that resonated not only with myself, but I think would spark something in you today, especially being that it's Friday. One of the reasons I created Faith-Based Fridays because I'm a firm believer that, you know, listening to sermons and getting a positive message doesn't necessarily just have to be on a Sunday. You know, getting it on a Friday morning is incredible because, you know, now I'm going to make certain decisions. I'm going to maybe put some money aside. Hey, I'm not going to spend money going out to this and doing that because I got to make sure I'm being responsible. So there's no rule that you could only, you know, take in church on a Sunday morning. It could be every single day, and it should be every single day. So that's one of the reasons that I decided that Faith-Based Friday would be the thing that I plant my flag on in terms of the system that I've created. But again, the main thing about being a thermostat dad or a thermostat leader is we are to regulate first and foremost, then cultivate where it is we're trying to be. And now we're about elevation. Elevating people, elevating yourself, elevating your business, elevating your students, your staff, your employees, whatever it is. Make sure you are elevating folks towards the end, and that is how you're going to increase your value, increase your business. Make sure you're doing the things that you need to do. All right. So all that being said, again, for business owners, if you are interested in hearing more, and you know what you do need is somebody to come in and implement a system that is making it so you're helping people elevate, helping your organization elevate. That is what I do. That is what I'm all about. Make sure you go to makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. You could get a free guide. You can book me to speak, or again, simply learn more about me. Do your research on me. Shop, pick up a copy of one of the 5 books that I currently have out. Again, working on book number 6 as we speak. If you're interested in boxing lessons, I do that as well. Tons of, that we're all about that. We're all about just elevating people here. All right. So all that being said, as one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.